This nonsense makes me want to puke.
He's gonna puke.
Oh man, dude, that's gross.
That is a Minnesota accent. Minnesota, Canada, who cares? They're all garbage.
Samoa Joe. Titus. Worldwide.
Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. This is the best pro wrestling podcast where we talk about the best pro wrestling in the world. My name is Tommy Stryker. That is Taco over there joining me today.
What up?
2 weeks in a row, Joe's liver issues are still acting up. He cannot join us, but we are praying for a speedy recovery from the issues that stemmed from a dirty CPAP machine. All best wishes go out to Joe, and hopefully he'll be back.
Hopefully we can get him that knee brace he needs.
Correct. But yeah, lots to talk about this week. We opened the show with this soundbite. Because,
why? What happened?
Well, let's start off with this greatest Royal Rumble thing. It happened almost a week ago, so it kind of feels a little bit dated talking about it, but we haven't had a chance to throw out our thoughts on the event yet, of course. So we'll talk about it a little bit here right off the bat. Let's start with the Titus thing. I honestly, by like the third replay, I'm like, come on, how many times? I felt bad for Titus.
I was driving with it on. I was not watching. My phone was off to the side, so it was over the Bluetooth, which I hate technology because my phone knew I was fucking driving, so I could not hear it with volume full on. So I was like, you motherfuckers and your safety shit. So I only got to hear Michael Cole losing his shit. I was like, what the fuck happens? And then after I got home, I just kind of rewatched the Rumble. I was like, that is the funniest shit ever.
It's pretty funny, but again, it was like so many replays, and then it's all over the internet. I'm like, I genuinely felt bad for Titus. I'm like, come on, stop piling on. But it was kind of a funny, nice touch that they kind of weaved it into storylines on Monday Night Raw.
He's the right guy it happened to. Like, if it was someone like Seth Rollins or, Roman Reigns right into the ring and that happened, it would be a little bit more embarrassing. But it's fucking Titus O'Neil, and I'm so glad Michael Cole was on top of that. It was like, this reminded me of when he did NXT, and you go back and you watch that clip, and it's the same fucking fall, same trip, same body movement. So it's like, oh, this isn't his first rodeo.
No, he's a giant klutz.
He is. So, he's the perfect guy just to smile and embrace it, and
it's why
he's getting some more attention over it, and dude, it's fucking awesome moment.
It's why he's scary to watch in the ring, because at any moment he could drop somebody and murder them or something. It's just kind of
no, it was good. It was a much needed laugh because it was a long event. It wasn't a bad event. It was just a really long event, and 50-man Royal Rumble, awesome. I loved it. It was a fun idea, but god damn, was it fucking, just a long Rumble, and him coming out at the end and tripping then, it was such a good, it breathed new life into the Royal Rumble.
It really did. I mean, if they planned it that way, good for them. But yeah, it was, you're right, it was kind of a fun moment in the middle of that long Rumble, and it was long, but at the same time, I thought they did a really good job of keeping, for what could have been a bit of a disaster, 50-man Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. I thought they did pretty good with keeping it interesting. There was, of course, the interesting story of Daniel Bryan coming in.
Especially with him being at number one in such a gigantic Rumble. And it was handled, awesome.
And you predicted it beautifully last week on the show that it was going to be Big Cass eliminating him. I didn't think it would be way at the end of the match like that.
Yeah,
but that
fucking number one, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I tweeted about it, too. It's like, I was so mad at the, this historic performance ruined by this donkey Big Cass, this big ass Big Cass, and so it added the perfect amount of heat to that thing going on. Hopefully they do the right thing at Backlash coming up this Sunday, so we'll get into those.
They did all the right moves in that Rumble, especially like someone like Elias. Look at the eliminations he got in that fucking Angle, Orton, New Day.
And then a little bit of satisfaction on the Big Cass thing when Braun Strowman eliminates him. I think Hornswoggle's got a bit of an argument here that he might have won the whole thing because he actually went out over the bottom rope, went to the top rope, and then got knocked out. So I don't know if it's technically over the top rope. There's a little bit of controversy.
I think we need a little grudge match out of this.
Maybe him and Axel can have a little Axelmania rerun or something like that. But yeah, for the excuse me for the I'm getting caught up in my Minnesota accent.
That is a Minnesota accent.
Where was I going here? For it being a really long match, I thought they did well. And for it being a long show altogether, like packed with a lot of, they put a lot of stuff on this show, a lot of title changes, and a lot of it didn't feel very eventful. I didn't think the Cena and a Triple H match was noteworthy. Rusev and the Undertaker was exactly what we expected.
Everything for the most part was. It's just I don't know. I had fun. It was just one of those fun events.
Yeah, and
we need more of those.
And you know what? I liked a Friday pay-per-view. That was kind of nice. You avoid spoilers during the day or whatever, but that was easy enough to do. But yeah, I liked coming home and having something to watch on a Friday night. Now, granted, I'm almost 40. I'm not doing a lot on a Friday night, and it's Friday is like my Tuesday, so I'm not going out anyway, even if I was a younger man. But so I got that going for me. So there's that, but yeah, I liked the Rumble. Roman and Lesnar in the steel cage. I liked that. That was a good match. I like what they did for the finish. Actually, I don't know if I like it because technically it keeps this thing going, and a lot of people want this to be done. They are tired of Roman and Brock Lesnar. I don't know if I'm hating it exactly, but what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm not hating it, but with Lesnar and being them hyping up as the big cage fighter and blah blah blah, and then you got Paul Heyman coming out for the Broctagon, so it's just like I kind of wanted that more cage match MMA vibe to it, and they did a really well job doing that with the match. It was beat the fuck out of each other, beat the piss out of each other in this cage match. I wish it was one of those cage matches where they eliminated the pinfall and submission, though. It's just one of my biggest pet peeve with cage matches is just pinfalls and submissions are allowed in them. It's like, no, it should be escape only. That's the point of the fucking cage.
No, I disagree 100%. I think it should only be pinfall or submission, and escaping the cage should be a disqualification. Escaping the cage, and especially out the door, is like the weakest way to win a match, in my opinion.
Door, I'm more over the wall kind of thing. Like,
the reason why I don't like the over the wall thing is because it makes you look like a fucking coward. You're running away from the fight. It's like, I gotta get out. I gotta get away from this monster.
So it's just the same company that has Hell in the Cell, though. That's the only reason why I hate the pinfall reason. To me, the pinfall reason's the Hell in the Cell, just extended cage walls. No, technically escaping out of it. That's how I look at it.
Even though they escape that every time, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, my problem with I shouldn't even say problem because I like heel Roman Reigns, and I thought Roman looked like a complete heel in the match. He tried running away from Roman Reigns over the top of the cage, and Brock dragged him back into the Broctagon and beat him up some more. He tried to get out the door. Paul Heyman slams the door in his face. Roman Reigns is the biggest heel, and everybody's waiting for the Roman Reigns heel turn. He's the biggest heel they have right now. He comes out on Monday. He gets booed out of Montreal. It was great. Roman Reigns heel turn. It happened months ago. He's the biggest
years.
He's the biggest heel they have. So they're coming back. Everybody wants to see see everybody move on from this. Everybody wants to see the Roman heel turn, even though it's, I don't know, it is what it is. They're not going to do it. It's John Cena all over again. They're not going to turn Roman. They're going to have matches like this where he's going to get booed. And I thought it was interesting, too, that the Saudi Arabia crowd seemed to have mixed reactions to Roman Reigns.
Oh, they were just so excited.
And, but I thought it was interesting because they didn't just eat what WWE was feeding them.
Yeah.
They had mixed reactions to Roman Reigns. They knew what a lot of the finishers were. They were popping for near falls and close finishes in all of the matches. So they were, for the most part, I thought, an educated crowd when it comes to what's going on in WWE right now.
But to my little knowledge of what they do get over there, I believe they pretty much get like the Hulu version of Raw, just even more chopped up.
Right, no women, obviously.
Yeah,
and they got
like that.
WWE got in trouble for that, for airing that music video gimmick or whatever with all the women on it with Carmella.
It was the Carmella thing, and then Shinsuke's entrance too with the lady in the violin.
Oh, just having a lady playing the violin. They got I didn't see that either. Wow. Man. And that was the other thing about this show, too, was all the propaganda about how great Saudi Arabia is and how progressive they're being. And it was annoying, because you read some articles and I tweeted out a couple of things that's out there. This is all the Saudi government or whatever paying WWE a lot of money, so WWE is happy to take a lot of money and forward their message. It's
just like they are with everybody else right now.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm so sick of talking about that shit in Saudi Arabia. It's just look in the fucking news.
Yep, it's out there.
Read.
We're here to talk wrestling, not world politics. So, what else did I want to talk about from this show? I liked the ladder match.
Yeah,
that was good. I liked that finish with Rollins leaping onto the ladder from the springboard or whatever, and then just stealing the belt from. Basically from Finn Balor's grasp there at the end. It was cool. He grabs the belt and it comes down off the thing, and that's when the belt hits Finn Balor in the face. That's how he got his eye cut or whatever right at the end of the match. I thought that was kind of funny, but it added to the drama of the match with him bleeding right at the end there. But yeah, I liked that match. And that was pretty much all that stood out. I mean, the Usos Bludgeon Brothers tag match, that was just so short. I almost fast forwarded through the past.
Short. Fucking AJ Nakamura, I thought it was a better showing between the two, but it's exactly what I said on last week's episode. There's going to be some fuckery where the match is no contest, go to whatever to continue the feud. And
well, here's one that I'm okay with them continuing the feud.
Oh, exactly.
I like that there's heat on this match now. AJ got a bit of revenge for some of the low blows. That was kind of the story here with the was it double counter, double DQ, whatever it was. But either way, they're coming back to it right away at Backlash.
Loved that. Nakamura was like, "Oh, you owe me an apology." Like, it's so fucking great.
Right, that was a fun follow up from SmackDown demanding the apology and him coming out and getting more low blows. Another great Samoa Joe promo there. So lots of cool stuff going on.
But yeah, it was just an overall fun event. I hope something does blossom positive out of for the country. Us silly Americans, we have no say in what goes, or we have very little knowledge of what's going on over there. But I do hope positivity can come out of this situation. And looking at the Davari Brothers, I thought it was so awesome to see them in there. That's was kind of poking the bear a little bit, throwing them in there. But you need that though. You need some sort of interaction. I thought it was
and the whole point was to put the recruits over.
The recruits looked good, and unfortunately, the Davari Brothers are getting a lot of death threats, and they said it's from a lot of the Iranian people too. So it's like, Jesus Christ, can we just calm down? This is pro wrestling, like those Saudi wrestlers that they're showing off a little bit. They were like, yeah, these Davari Brothers are great. Like calm the fuck down, people.
Yeah, it's strange because they do walk that line, and even I agree with you. It was kind of a cool moment for the Davari Brothers, and they got to put over the new recruits, and it was supposed to be about the new recruits. But even watching that, I was uncomfortable, thinking this is going to get some bad heat.
Yeah, I really was not expecting Davari to be on the alone with his brother, and Jesus Christ, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I believe you got to be open. You got to see both sides of a story to really, progress, move forward. And, that is one of those movements. It's like, I saw a thing back in the day when Sergeant Slaughter, sided with, Clinton Dix.
The first Iraq War.
The Iron Sheik, he was getting death threats on his family and everything. Yeah. It's like, this is pro wrestling, people. Calm the fuck down. So, it's different times and everything, but, it's people take shit too serious, and it's like, remember, this is, quote, the fake fighting, as you guys say. So,
well, and there's something to be said about doing something more subtly, and you could still accomplish the same thing too. But it's WWE, and they just don't do that. Right? That's their track record is not doing things subtle. They bang you over the head with it, and in places where they're not used to that. Maybe they're just not used to that type of heat and being banged over the head with it like that, and they got a reaction.
They weren't so in your face with it to me, like when Jinder was going against Nakamura. It was just like, wow, dude, that's not even clever or funny or nothing. Yeah. There's use words properly, and you can leave a good message. So that's why just watching that event as a whole and seeing all those smiles on those young kids' faces running around and everything, being added atmosphere, like a WrestleMania type atmosphere for them, that's how you make a change. That's your future right there.
Yeah. That's I'm trying to, like you, glean some kind of positivity out of this, and that is that some progress is better than no progress, even though it's 2018 and women are property and they can't go to that wrestling show without men. But
you're not going to change those guys sitting ringside in the fucking lazy boy seats minds. No, you're going to make an impression on those kids running around with a fucking Seth Rollins sword and a lightsaber and a fucking jug of popcorn.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to go through a ton of stuff. I just want to highlight a few things before we get to our big predictions for Backlash this weekend.
Monday Night Raw!
Loved that hot opening segment. I mean, this is in Montreal. We got Raw and SmackDown.
The crowd was hot.
205 Live was hot for
good crowd
for Montreal too. Yeah, they didn't do too much of the "oh my God, Canada is Bizarro World" stuff. Thank God. At least I missed it. Maybe I skipped past it or whatever. But for the most part, the crowd was reacting the way they should have reacted, except for Roman Reigns, who I'll say it right now, he's the biggest heel in the company without doing a quote heel turn.
That's just kind of how it is in our world today, though. Sometimes being the good guy makes you the heel. Case in point, John Cena. No matter how many times people want him to make a heel turn, how many times was he getting fucking booed and hated on? Right. That's a heel to me.
And this, at least they were aware of what was going to happen in this opening segment, which was really hot, with Roman getting booed, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn getting cheered wildly, being in their hometown boys. Right. That was a theme for the whole week. I thought it was odd that Strowman came out and made the save when the entire reason that the entire WWE universe is behind Braun Strowman so hard is because of the feud with Roman Reigns, where he's throwing him in ambulances and off of docks and tipping over scaffoldings with grappling hooks.
I'm not finished with you.
I'm not finished with you. All of that, get these hands, all of that was from that fucking Roman Reigns feud, and here comes Strowman out to save his heel ass.
No beef with Sammy and Kevin. No beef with... Yeah.
So that was a bit silly, but whatever. We suspend our disbelief, and we are aware that WWE usually tells horseshit stories. So that was one of them. But again, it was a fun, hot part of the show.
And Roman and Braun too. They did do a good job of kind of giving each other that awkward look at each other and just, we got business to do.
The big main event, and I like that they put this in the main event. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. Again, I forgot to set the DVR for the show after.
Oh yeah,
and Sling is notorious. I keep having to look the damn thing up on YouTube. I finally did it for next week's show, so I'm all set. I'm set up to record American Ninja Warrior. I'm good to go. But yeah, great match here. I love that they're featuring the Intercontinental Championship in a big spot, giving these guys some time to go out and have a good match. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, a lot of people online, well, this is my main event championship on Raw. And it's like, you're right, and it should be. It should, have a little bit more spotlight on it. To me, that Universal title is, in a weird way, like the Impact Grand Championship, where it's trying to have like that MMA feel to it. That's why it's on Lesnar. That's why it's only defended so many fucking times. That's why you watch an MMA fight. That's why when Conor McGregor, if he ever fights, it's special. Or when the heavyweight championship is online, it's fucking special because you don't see this. You see, maybe the welterweight championship defended maybe 4 times tops a year if you're lucky. So that's kind of the vibe with this championship. If we had it back in the day when it was like the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, one's opening the show, the WWE Championship's barely closing the show.
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't make that championship feel special. So when Lesnar does fly half across the world with the roster and defends the Universal title, it's a spectacle. It's more than a Lesnar fight. It's shit. That championship is on the line, and with the brands like Backlash coming up with the co-branded shit going on, yeah, we're gonna need less championships. We're gonna need to forget about the 30-day rule on defending championships,
and that's been out the window anyway.
Exactly. I mean. Just throw it out.
At one point,
every championship.
At one point, Alexa Bliss hadn't defended for like 5 months.
Right.
So,
but people do keep going to that. Like, well, look at this or look to this. No, it's just let's look at making a good pay-per-view card every fucking month. You know that's the WWE job they need to do is just focus on. So what you have the Intercontinental, a tag champ, 2 women's championships, and the WWE championship. To round out, and then 2, maybe 3 random cards thrown in there. That's a solid event. And then a month later, you got fucking Universal Championships on the line with the United States title on the line.
Right.
You could progress the Intercontinental title with the fucking shows. Smackdown and Raw. So if they play their cards right, it's this co-branded stuff is not going to affect anything. If anything, it's a way to enhance it.
Yeah, and again, not overexposing the championship matches so that it feels more special when they come around. And this Intercontinental thing goes back to what I was even talking about last week. Seth Rollins touched on it on his promo. Like, I don't want to be Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. I want to be a fighting champion and defend this title. So I like that, and it differentiates. It doesn't really take away from Brock Lesnar is the beast and he's at the top of the card or whatever, but you can also have this other thing that's completely different from what Brock Lesnar does, and it can also be entertaining, and it can be good and have these really good competitive workhorse matches like I was talking about last week. So bringing that credibility back to that title, even though, there's a lot of credibility in a lot of fans' eyes in what The Miz did with the title, with having it for a long time or several different reigns with it, but being a good talker and making people interested in the match, not necessarily having great matches and winning it with distractions and
too many distractions,
skullduggery, with the Miz Taraj and all the bullshit. But he had it for an amount of time that, for whatever reason, there's fans that just buy into what he said. I've made it prestigious. And so that just him saying that over and over again has elevated the title to a certain level. And I think Seth Rollins benefits from a little bit of that, from what Miz did with it. And now if he can have that title for a long time himself and have great matches along the way, be Monday Night Rollins, what they've pushed him to be. And I think that would be a really good thing. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about, and I've got notes on Raw here, but come on, it was what it was. I actually liked the Baron Corbin promo. Like, he came out talking shit about No Way Jose, like, a wise man said funny doesn't equal money, and I'm out here to win championships, and you're not on my level. And I thought everything he said made sense. And
this nonsense makes me want to puke.
So I thought it felt real. It didn't feel like the normal scripted crap.
Yeah, this switch to Raw is gonna be really good for this guy. You can tell he feels like where he thinks he feels where he should be, kind of, mentality. You can just kind of see that on his face. Like, he's on Raw now, the A show. Fucking, he's really gonna step it up now. And now is his time to really, really shine. Otherwise, sorry, dude.
and of course, this was the spot where they incorporated Titus into the thing.
Yeah,
and he caused the distraction or whatever.
Too many distractions.
and No Way got the win. But I kind of like No Way hanging out with Titus and Titus Worldwide there.
Titus Worldwide?
That might be kind of a fun little combo, I think.
Yeah, he'd be fun in that group. I'm not on the No Way Jose thing. Like, it's fucking throwing the rabbit, you got Adam Rose.
Exactly.
I liked it then. I felt like it was funner with Adam Rose because it did feel like a party trip. Now it's just...
It feels like the cheap copy of it. Even Coach alluded to it last week. I was like, this is just like that other guy.
And it's just he is a great he is a good performer and everything. He can hold his own in the ring. I'm not trying to take anything away from No Way Jose. It's just it just never really did anything for me in NXT. I think the biggest pop he got out of me when he got Austin Aries to dance with him, and then Austin Aries just beat the shit out of him anyways. That was the biggest pop No Way Jose ever got from me.
Yeah, it's a fun entrance. He's okay in the ring. I kind of like the baseball punch thing
like
he
if
does.
we still had Saturday morning slam for the kids in this, he would be perfect for that. But I see him on, coming out on Raw and doing this thing and everything. And I'm someone that's, I'm no secret that I've been super, hard on Ty Dillinger. And he's someone I'm like, well, he needs to be on fucking TV. Let's get this guy going. And we have No Way Jose doing a fucking Congo line around the ring. So it's like, I want positivity for someone like Ty Dillinger, but I see this on Raw. It's like, come on, this is frustrating. Or I don't know.
All right,
I wish him the best.
Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of SmackDown.
Change the subject. SmackDown Live.
Players, I'm going to make this a tag team match.
That's what I thought. Whatevs.
I'm not changing it. I don't care if care if Dolph is on or off. I did enjoy Dolph and McIntyre's selfie promo, but it was just kind of more of the same of the week before. But
I'm liking them as a combo. I'm looking forward to see what they start doing.
Yeah. But anyway, SmackDown, not a ton to talk about here either. We talked about the Samoa Joe promo, kind of interrupting AJ Styles, leading to the Nakamura low blowing AJ again.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of a surreal moment watching SmackDown and having Samoa Joe come out on AJ Styles win the championship in a WWE ring in 2018.
Some TNA chants.
Yeah, so it was just one of those things where it's just like you never thought it would happen, and then they got in the same company, and it's like, it would never. Oh shit! So
and this was like a feud that was like burnt out in TNA back in the day. Like people were tired of seeing it, and they've been away from there long enough, and WWE has kept them apart long enough.
And they've progressed so much.
Oh yeah,
too,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the moment Joe came out and started running his mouth, I was like, I want to see this fucking match. And then you got Nakamura.
Yep. So yeah, fun stuff there. I liked the Miz TV segment. I thought that was a lot of fun.
I can't believe Daniel Bryan's banned. What the fuck? Really? Rude.
And there's a chance he could bring that Intercontinental title back to SmackDown. Who'd have thought it? But I like him stirring the pot between Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy. And Randy Orton was great. He's like, no, we're cool. I loved that. And then hitting the RKO on Miz, and then that leading to the tag match. Of course, that's SmackDown. That's what we do.
Holla.
So, and then they win the match. Orton hits the RKO on Hardy. So added a little bit of fun heat to that, of course. So, and then the only other thing I really wanted to touch on here was Lana showing up and talking to Rusev and hinting that Aidin English might be the one holding him back. He's lost to The Undertaker. He's got this whole Rusev Day thing. He's got a national holiday every day all about him. Things are going great, but you're losing. So Lana kind of hinting at her half Russian, half American accent. her accent's worse than a Minnesota accent.
That is a Minnesota accent. Minnesota, Canada, who cares? They're all garbage.
So, but what was a
Rusev.
So I don't know. What do you? I like the idea of Lana coming back to Rusev and making him more aggressive again or something. But again, I like the babyface kind of thing that they're kind of doing with him because he's so over.
Yeah, it's he's so over right now, and it's done wonders for Aidin English too.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, he was someone where it's just like, I could not get into vaudevillains for the life of me, and if I was going to side with anyone, it was going to be Simon Gotch because of the fucking mustache, and we know how that worked out. And yeah, fucking, he's someone that I thought would kind of be lost in the shuffle, kind of, in the Mike Bennett situation where I'm not trying to, dog on the guy, but
dog away, my friend, dog away.
He's someone that's just not on TV at the moment, and fucking Aidin English is, and the fucking singing thing is over. I never thought that would get over like it is, especially with someone like Rusev. So yeah, I'm fucking totally digging what they're doing. I wish they would get pushed more as a tag team, but if we're gonna throw Lana back with Rusev and maybe give him a good push and put him in some something as opposed to Rusev Day. Crowd goes nuts. All right, go to the back. I want something out of Rusev. I like Rusev. He's such a national treasure for the WWE. And
it's a tough spot for Rusev because, I think the crowd and myself, we all want to see good things for Rusev, but it's kind of it's the comedy thing with Aidin English right now. And if he goes back to Lana, he's still going to be over, but are they going to push him as a heel? It's such a weird thing, and if he breaks up with Aidin English, Aidin English isn't going to be interesting by himself. Mm-hmm. But they could do the breakup feud or whatever. Right. But
get him some heat again.
Right.
Make him look like a monster.
And they're not going to have Rusev isn't going to turn away from his wife. She's been gone. They've been separated forever, but he's obviously not going to just leave her or turn, quote, heel turn or babyface turn or whatever turn on Lana.
Right.
So there's a lot of questions here because I think people want to see Rusev pushed at least to a U.S. title level, maybe even get a big main event versus AJ or whoever's champion at some point down the road. But you can't. Do you really want to do that if he's doing the comedy Rusev Day thing? Is it credible?
The thing too is do I want to see Rusev and AJ for the WWE Championship? Fuck yeah! But Samoa Joe just came out, and I really want to see that more.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They would need to do a lot of work to rebuild him, but I think him and Lana getting back together and him being more aggressive and going back to what got him over originally might work. But again, that might mean a move back to the heel side, which I don't think would work at this point because people want to chant Rusev Day and people like Rusev. So if they can find a way to make that delicate balance to where he's more aggressive in the ring, but he's still, with the fans as a good guy, that's the tough part.
He doesn't necessarily need to be a good guy, though. Just him kind of being like a bumbling but dominant heel. What does that mean? It works. People like heels nowadays. Like, heels are basically the faces, and the faces are basically the heels. People are booing John Cena and Roman Reigns because they're squeaky clean good guys.
But I'm still going to sit here and argue that take the people that the fans like, that they're cheering for, and push them as an act that we're supposed to cheer for.
But then look at Miz, though. He's fucking... You should boo him out the building. He says everything to hate you, but people are cheering and eating it up. It's just...
Yeah, but for the most part, people get it with the Miz, though. People boo the Miz. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't push Miz as a baby. Whenever they tried Miz as a babyface, it was a failure. It didn't work. But him as a heel always worked. I think people appreciate the heel stuff, and he doesn't get... It's not like an overwhelming amount of cheers, I don't think. But, I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Even Seth Rollins, when he was a heel, still fucking cheered. Everyone loved J&J security.
Well, not everyone. But, yeah, I know what you're saying. But, again, that I felt was wrong. The whole Shield breakup thing was fucked up storytelling. It should have been Roman because it was Roman who was the chosen one by the authority, Vince McMahon. So he's the one that should have broke up the Shield with the chair, and Seth Rollins could have become the big baby face. That was what they should have done. They told a fucked up ass backwards story. They turned Rollins heel, but Rollins was a really good heel in that run with the authority.
And
so I don't want to take that away from
all four of these guys have in common, though, is they're getting a reaction.
Yes.
And that's what matters.
Well, that's what WWE says. And yes, getting a reaction is good. I still would argue it would be better to have the fans react in their more natural way and push people the way that the fans are dictating, because after all, you're telling a story for the fans. Whatever. I'm not arguing with you or against you. We're just this is our opinions. It's a podcast. That's what we're here to talk about. I don't really a lot else to talk about from SmackDown. That's
it was a good week of Raw and SmackDown. Nothing. Too thrilling, but
I want to put over the Montreal crowd again. They were a hot crowd for both shows. It made both shows more interesting because they were into the stuff that they should have been into. So
I really did like that. Absolution was trying to get all buddy with Paige, hook a girl up. She's like, no, fuck no, we're done. Absolution's over.
Yeah, Absolution
I'm GM.
over.
I got a name on my door now. So I like that Paige is going to be, that GM. No bullshit, no fuckery. No buddy club. She's in it. She's going to be the authority figure, and let's do it. So
yeah, I like that. Yeah, she maintained some integrity at the top position. No more heel authority.
Right. AJ Nakamura, you guys can't do it right? Fine. Anything goes.
Exactly.
This matchup is now anything goes.
All right, let's quickly talk a little 205 Live before we get into our Backlash predictions.
Change the subject. 205 Live. Weird question. Are you a cruiserweight?
So yeah, not a huge show this week, but I thought they moved some storylines along that were pretty good. Kalisto versus Drew Gulak in the main event, with Gulak getting a win with the Gulak over the former Cruiserweight champion. A little bit of story here because of what happened last week in the gauntlet match with Kalisto defeating Gulak after he went on a little bit of a run. So him getting a bit of a make good here, a bit of revenge, if you will, some momentum building up for him. So I liked that. It was a decent match in the main event there. Kendrick and Brian Kendrick and Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher taking on Hideo Itami and Akira Tozawa. And I like the story of Itami and Kendrick, with Itami busting Kendrick's face back in a few months ago. So Kendrick looking for some revenge on Itami. And they've been teasing the dissension between Itami and Tozawa, and that came to fruition again in this match with some miscommunication late. And Itami ends up accidentally knocking Tozawa off the top rope by hitting the ropes, trying to hit Kendrick or somebody with some offense. Ding. And led to Kendrick and Gallagher getting the win. So yeah, good stories going along there. And then Buddy Murphy made his big return, made weight this time, and got to squash a guy.
I like that little backstage interaction though of Drake Maverick trying to shake his hand. He's like, "I just want my damn title match," and just dipped out.
Yep.
I like that seriousness.
Because he had earned the title shot, but then lost it because he didn't make weight. So they're telling that story at the same time. So they're telling some good stories on there. It's just hard to get people to tune in. There's so much wrestling, and they don't even mention 205 Live on Raw anymore.
No.
They didn't mention it on SmackDown until the very end of the show. They put the little box up, 205 Live is next on the WWE Network. So, I mean, it's really hard for any of these guys to gain momentum when, I mean, podcasts and people are talking about the shows have been good. They're telling good stories. They're having pretty good matches in the ring, although I'm a little down on some of it this week. I mean, I like the opening stuff because it told a good story, but the main event felt a little formulaic to me, but I like what they're doing with Gulak. Sure. So they got to be careful there. They should still make the matches unique enough to stand out and have people talking about them. But again, if they're not talking about them on Raw or anything, it's like, how does people even know about it? You know,
I don't know. Most people that have the network know that it's on,
right?
But
I don't. It's never. You know, it's never had that amount of popularity like an NXT or anything like that, and it has that.
NXT was a slow build too.
Yeah, but it
had to get rid of that pussy stank of the Sci-Fi Channel days, and just that it was just. You know, for the longest time, when I hear like Tyler Black, first NXT champion, I was like, "What the fuck is going on with this shit?" Like NXT, what the hell is going on with it? And just blossomed to this fucking awesome thing. And you look back and you're like, "Fuck, I missed some good shit in NXT," because I was just, you know, me personally, I just heard about NXT was its own little thing now, and I just still had the fucking image of the Titus Trippin, you know, and the Daniel Bryan and the contest and the low-key era. So, you know, it takes time. It's still 2 years, 3 years in going in.
I don't know, but there's, to coin your phrase, there's a lot of pussy stank on 205 Live, and it's going to take a long time to get away from that. And
That is so profane.
Tommy Straker.
And rude.
Well, they got that tournament coming up too, you know, so we're gonna be able to get some new life in there, get some, you know, some fresh faces on there, get some.
What tournament is that now?
I thought they were doing another cruiserweight tournament. Oh no, I'm thinking UK tournament.
Yeah,
Shit.
they're gonna do a UK thing.
Never mind.
And that's gonna be what am I trying to say? Exclusive. It's going to be a WWE Network thing to try to compete with what ITV is doing over there. The only reason they signed UK guys in the first place was to compete with what ITV was going to do with the World of Sport coming back. They never did that. Now they're talking about doing that again. So WWE is ramping up their stuff again. So it's just a battle of them
Triple
trying to keep control.
Triple H announced that pretty much world territory thing he wants to do with NXT. Right. So yeah, there's a little bit of that to the UK thing as well.
Right. All right. Let's talk about these predictions for Backlash.
Change the subject.
All right, I gotta do this thing.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Backlash coming up, co-branded pay-per-view. I suppose I got to come up with another sound. Co-branded pay-per-view.
Co-branded.
God, anyway. So lots of stuff here. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Again, they added the heat in the Royal Rumble. Liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Bryan's got to get the win here. Taco, what do you think?
Predictions.
Yeah, he's got to get the win here. Otherwise, Cass just doing some DQ bullshit. For the heelness of him.
And I can see WWE doing that, too, because Cass just came back from an injury. He's big. Daniel Bryan's already over. Big Cass needs the momentum. But they did a nice job with Daniel Bryan selling the chest injury on SmackDown this week, which was another great story coming out of the Rumble with Roderick Strong.
How awesome was seeing him in that, though.
Yeah,
those two together.
Yes, yeah, that was a cool moment. And just Strong chopping the shit out of Daniel Bryan's chest. And but yeah, I liked him away from the ring on SmackDown Live, selling that quote injury or whatever, and then Cass taking advantage and talking all the shit and bringing out the little person and beating him up and getting the asshole chance. So the natural story feels like Daniel Bryan getting the win. Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton for the U.S. title. I think Jeff Hardy probably keeps it here.
Predictions.
Yeah, I agree.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. This was kind of thrown together at the last second, thrown at us on Raw. This feels like an opening match or a pre-show kind of match. But, I mean, God, they're just pushing the shit out of Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. Braun Strowman's hot tag now for the past 2 weeks has been come in, run around like crazy, tackle Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, well, especially tackle Kevin Owens at ringside, run back in the ring, do some more crazy stuff, tackle Owens at ringside again. That's his hot tag now. So I feel like they're just trying to build up Strowman and Lashley at this point. I've liked Lashley since he's come back. Wow, what an athlete that guy is. Just running around like crazy. So
yeah, he hasn't done nothing to make me say that yet.
Okay.
He's just been there. I feel like they're just, letting some shit run its course, and then they'll start, really pushing the Lashley down the throats a little bit more, making him more of a threat, more of a dominant force.
Well, and
kind of reminding us more, because it's more been like, oh, hey, here's Lashley. There's Lashley, bye. Like, nothing with him. It's like, hey, he's a former United States champion, by the way. Like,
yeah, he hasn't really said much yet either.
Which, it's not a bad thing. With so much going on, it's just the fucking WrestleMania. We just had that giant fucking Royal Rumble thing. We just had the fucking shake-up where, he just returned and everything. So, yeah, they're doing a good thing. Just let the slow build. Let them out there, they're doing the right thing.
I think
right now.
And the outcome of this match might depend on, does the skullduggery shit come into play with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? And is there a possible miscommunication between Lashley and Braun Strowman? And does it lead to those two having a singles match down the road somewhere? Because who knows what they're going to do at the top with the Universal title, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, because they got to come back to that because of the finish at the Royal Rumble, the greatest Royal Rumble. So they might need a little program on the side here between these two. So that's a possibility. So that's going to be my prediction. I'm going to predict Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with the skullduggery and the breaking up of Braun Strowman and Lashley. What do you think there, Taco?
Predictions.
I think Strowman's just going to do all the work.
My Russo-ass book into that.
My botch.
Strowman's going to do the work, get the win,
He's just going to get the win.
Okay. The Miz versus Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title. If Miz wins, he presumably brings it to SmackDown or moves back to Raw himself, reuniting with the Miz-Taraj, making Axel and Bo Dallas very, very happy. I'm thinking Rollins retains here. I love the momentum. I love him being Monday Night Rollins. He just got the title, had the great match in the main event for Monday Night Raw. I'm concerned, though, because they put him in, quote, the main event, when they've in actuality been putting the biggest match of the show at the top of the third hour. So at the end of the second hour. Yeah. So they've been really kind of booking that third hour as the toilet flushing hour and making the, quote, main event at the end of the show not quite as important. So I'm wondering if they might look at because the third hour ratings are always down, they'll say, well, Seth Rollins isn't over and Finn Balor isn't over because look at the third hour ratings. They didn't move the needle at all. So that's certainly a possibility. They've used that type of excuse before. But I like what they're doing with Rollins. I want to see that keep going. And quite frankly, Miz isn't going to win the title and bring it to SmackDown Live anyway. I think Rollins retains. What do you think, Taco?
Predictions.
Yeah, Rollins is looking so good right now, so it would make absolutely no sense to take that off of him. Rollins for the win. But
I think there's a big side of the audience that is on the Miz train or whatever. Miz has a certain level of popularity. And people kind of want to see that record-breaking thing happen, whatever that is.
There's still plenty of time to come back to that record, though, and make a bigger deal out of it.
That is certainly true. Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. I gotta believe Nia's retaining here. They keep doing the Moment of Bliss promos.
I actually laughed my ass off for this week's.
They're good in the sense that a lot of people find them entertaining. I just don't like the content of it. I think Alexa Bliss is doing a great job. It's great heel stuff because she's so delusional about Nia being a bully or whatever. So that part is great. I don't like that there's that subtle fat shaming shit in there. That bothers me. It's like, be better. You can tell better stories than this. But at the end of the day, I think it's all about Nia giving Alexa Bliss her what for, Nia going over in the end. So I think that's what this is all about pretty much. So that's my prediction. I think Nia's going all the way, whooping her ass. So that's what it's got to be. It's got to be Nia whooping her ass.
Yeah, it's got to be a quick ass whooping. This one should be a quick one.
Charlotte versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte versus... Did I say what?
No, I didn't say, but I just said it should be a quick match.
Okay. Charlotte versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Speaking of matches that should be quick and one-sided, God, I really think Charlotte should get it back here.
Nope, Mella all the way.
But I think Mella is going to retain, like you said, somehow by hook or by crook with this distraction.
Too many distractions.
She's got the Iconics on her side now.
She's got the Iconics on her side, exactly. But man, I just really want to see. I just want to see that title go back to Charlotte. I thought she was on a nice run. But I like Asuka over there too. Feeling a little bit like an afterthought this week. And Becky Lynch fucking being upset about losing Asuka's first tag team match on SmackDown Live last week.
Hilarious.
It was funny, but a little too skitty for my liking. I don't like skits as much back in the locker room, but it accomplished what they were trying to get over, so it didn't really matter. But I'd like to see Becky Lynch get pushed a little more. I'd like to see, obviously they're going to push Asuka at some point. So there's that. So, but yeah, I think, Carmella's going to retain with the fucking bullshit. So. Nakamura, Shinsuke Nakamura with the hick hop rapping on his new theme song. Good stuff. I actually like the new theme song. Versus AJ Styles in a no disqualification, anything goes.
This matchup is now anything goes.
As we all know, as pro wrestling fans, if we shut our excited brains off and turn on our thinking brains, we all know that no disqualification matches tend to favor the heel. You also have the Samoa Joe factor here with him calling out AJ. He's got the big main event, of course, with Roman Reigns with nothing at stake right now. So does that come into play? I want to say no. I want to predict AJ keeping the title here. And that's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. I'm going with my heart. But man, with the stipulation favoring heels. But you know what I want this to be? I want this to be AJ and Nakamura. They come out there. AJ kicks him in the nuts, puts him in the calf crusher, and taps him out like right away. That should be the story. AJ should just look to kick the guy in the nuts, get his revenge, keep his title. And then Samoa Joe could come out after and hit him in the face or whatever, and then you're on to your next opponent or whatever. Because that feels like the story that they're telling them, then they can move on. But I don't mind Nakamura with that WWE Championship either. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is kind of the Nakamura I've been watching in the WWE. It's just something that sticks out, something that really shows his charisma. He's
when he was like getting in AJ's face on SmackDown after hitting him in the nuts and the Kinshasa and all that, just in his face. That was good.
Just running past him and shit. Just constantly showboating. That's the Nakamura we've needed, even in NXT, so yeah, this is the Nakamura I would love to see to have that championship on him. I'm going to have to go AJ on it, though. Just keep it on him. It still feels right. It still feels so good. And it's just, there's still AJ matches I want to see.
Yeah.
For the title, I want to see that Samoa Joe match bad. I've seen Samoa Joe and Nakamura, and it did nothing for me.
And I want to see AJ and Daniel Bryan for the title at some point. I think AJ's the right guy to have on top. Everybody's going after AJ. I think AJ and fucking Rusev, if they build Rusev upright, which would be a reason, technically, to turn Rusev, or to keep Rusev heel, turn him heel, whatever, do the thing with Lana, if it's a reason to build up to a match with AJ, because I think that would be really good. So there you go. So let's keep it on AJ. Good momentum builder there. Nakamura is new to this heel run, so he can rebuild momentum. He can work his way back into the championship after this run as well. And again, I'm honestly, with the no DQ stip, I can't help it. I don't know. It's hard to think that this is going to be where this feud ends. But yeah, it's got to be because of the Samoa Joe thing. They've already teased the next guy, so this has to be. AJ's got to keep it. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Well, it's just like, even with like Nakamura, though, you can easily have Nakamura out of the title picture, like they did fucking all last year. They had him right in the title picture. He didn't win. They took him away for a little bit, and then boom, Royal Rumble, he's right back into it. We can kind of get to that again too. Take him out of the title picture for a couple months. Boom, SummerSlam's around the corner. There's a big big attraction, event for SummerSlam.
Well, I mean, you can take him out of the main event. You've got Daniel Bryan there, who would love to have a feud with Nakamura. So he's a guy.
They did do a dark match together last night.
Right. So I mean, that would be phenomenal. So Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns and this, who knows? I'm kind of hoping they put AJ Nakamura main event and do Reigns and Joe semi-main. But I don't know. I'm really feeling Joe, man. He's been cutting them.
Fucking hoping so.
He's been cutting them money fucking promos, calling Roman Reigns a loser.
He doesn't need to make him tap or just choke his ass out. That's all you've done before. Do it again.
Thing is they're trying to keep Samoa Joe a heel, especially going into his match with AJ Styles. So, and yes, Roman Reigns is the biggest heel in the company, but in their eyes, he's a babyface.
Yes.
So I could see skullduggery bullshit getting involved, or just Roman Reigns wins clean and Samoa Joe shifts his focus to the SmackDown Live Championship because he can't beat the Raw guys anymore.
This Backlash is kind of a throwaway pay-per-view.
I don't know, man. I like it. I like this.
No, like everything on paper is great, but just it's just. God, fucking what words am I looking for? Because, no, it is a good fucking pay-per-view. Awesome cards. It's just, they could go continue things in a different direction that they're not going to, just because it's just, first co-branded, throw on the card.
Yeah.
I would want it to go this way.
SmackDown guy challenging for a Raw championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah,
there's no SmackDown, Raw storylines.
Right, yeah. It's a bit strange. And what they've tended to do is put over, or the guy that moves away from Raw, or the guy that moves away from SmackDown puts over somebody on that brand on their way out. So that logic would say Samoa Joe is losing.
To me, I want Joe to win. I beat Roman. I want you, AJ, now.
Oh my God, that would make the AJ and Samoa Joe program that much hotter.
I kind of want Roman losing his fucking shit. Like, what do I fucking need to do? I'm losing my fucking mind. He fucking changes game plan, bring out that fucking pawn shop jewelry.
Yes, he should be losing and on a losing streak and just keep sucking and just continue to be the biggest heel in WWE. I'm predicting Roman's going to win. Clean with a Superman punch and a spear. So, but yeah.
Fuck it, I'm going Samoa Joe. Fuck it. Going for it.
That's the funnest, the most fun story. Funnest, is that a Minnesota accent thing?
That is a Minnesota accent.
Right. But yeah, I would like the story of having all that momentum behind Samoa Joe. I think it would make the Samoa Joe AJ feud just feel that much more important. Because I mean, as not over as Roman is in a main event picture, he's got the momentum as a superstar, and if Samoa Joe beats him, that's going to give Samoa Joe momentum.
And I want to see that fear in AJ Styles too. No one's really brought that fear to AJ Styles. Even when he went up against Brock Lesnar, he was like, I'm looking forward to this challenge. Oh, got my ass whooped. It was a great challenge. Yay, good diggity do. And with the Nakamura was, I respect Nakamura. We have history. Tokyo Dome, blah, blah. Ooh, he's a bad guy now. I'm fucking annoyed by this guy. I want that fear in AJ Styles. And Samoa Joe is that guy.
Yeah. Everything you said is exactly right. So we'll play this one more time for you.
Absolutely right.
All right. Let's really quickly touch on.
I'm just sorry. Someone found some of Bob Backlund's old campaign ads and put them on YouTube. And there's one point he's just doing his Bob Backlund thing, and a car drives by and just honks his horn. He's like, "Don't you honk your horn at me!"
We might have to look some of those up for some sound bites, I think.
Fucking great.
All right, before we talk a little NXT, let's touch on some New Japan, because we had a big couple of matches coming up this week.
Change the subject.
There it is.
King of Thought.
You have no tag titles on lineup for Backlash? The tag titles?
Hold on, I couldn't hear you. What were you saying?
So there's no tag titles on lineup Backlash?
No tag titles on the line.
Weird.
Two women's titles, IC, US, and WWE Championship.
I'm not mad. That's what I was just saying earlier. Hey, some titles are not going to make the card this month.
Exactly. You're going to have to space things out. That's fine. New Japan. So I wanted to touch on this. We do have a New Japan and Ring of Honor exclusive podcast, if you don't know, called Strong Honor. And, of course, we talk about all this stuff over there. There's tons to talk about. So if you're interested in that stuff, make sure you check out Strong Honor. But just wanted to touch on a couple of quick things. I know a lot of people like Joe, who couldn't be here this week, is very interested in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament starting later this month. If you're going to subscribe to NJPWWorld.com to get that tournament, go ahead and subscribe now at the beginning of the month, because if you subscribe later in the month, they're still going to charge you for the next month's subscription at the beginning of the month. So
Every first of the month.
Correct. So subscribe now while it's early, and then you can watch some of the great matches from last week, and they've got a couple of really good matches coming up this week. The match I recommend from last week, Juice Robinson versus Hirooki Goto for the Never Openweight Championship. Talked about it on Strong Honor. I thought it was a sneaky good match. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. And a big title change, Tetsuya Naito winning the IWGP Intercontinental Championship from Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki was on a hell of a run with that championship. Very credible in the ring, and dominated this match and I don't really recommend this match if you haven't watched a lot of New Japan, because it's kind of boring, actually. And Naito comes back out of nowhere at the end of it to win it. And the story is kind of that another guy that's in Minoru Suzuki's faction defeated Naito last month in the New Japan Cup tournament, and he's this very technical. Well, you're going to know Zack Sabre Jr., of course. Very technical, great match, dominated and won. And this was similar to that, but it wasn't quite as interesting with Suzuki attempting to do the Zack Sabre style anyway. But then the story was Naito was never able to come back in the match with Zack Sabre, but here he made the huge comeback and won out of nowhere, and won a championship that he does not give a fuck about. He threw that title around like crazy last year, and
he still gives zero fucks about it.
He's like, I didn't want this. I don't care about this championship, but it came back to me. It's here. I have it. So tune in next week to see what I do with it. So I guess we'll have to see. And so then this week, coming up for Wrestling Dontaku on Friday, big show, Kazuchika Okada defends the IWGP Championship against Hiroshi Tanahashi, former ace of New Japan. Okada's being completely disrespectful going into the match. Everybody's hoping for Tanahashi to get that title back and to take away the championship from the very cocky Kazuchika Okada. Okada, if he wins, will break Tanahashi's title defense record from when he was on top as champion. So that's the story there. And then the very entertaining Will Ospreay taking on Kushida.
Yes.
Will Ospreay.
Time splitter.
Ospreay defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. All kinds of stuff going on with the Bullet Club on the night before that. Kenny Omega taking on Hangman Page, and Kota Ibushi taking on Cody Rhodes one-on-one on the night before that. So check those out over on njpwworld.com. Like I said, sign up now and you'll get the best of the Super Juniors, and don't get double charged 2 or 3 weeks in a row there or whatever. And sign up early. All right, let's move on. Let's talk NXT.
Change the subject.
NXT.
So advancing storylines on NXT this week. Good main event, though. Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong. This is, of course, because Roderick Strong turned on Pete Dunne at the TakeOver event, the big tag match that would end up being the Dusty Tag Finals, I guess. So Pete Dunne got his revenge. Well, technically, it looked like he was going to get his revenge. He hit the bitter end, and the Undisputed Era hit the ring, causing the DQ. But good hard hitting stuff in the match. Nice.
Right off the bat, Pete Dunne was right out of the corner and laid the elbow right in Strong's face. Like, he's ready for war, man.
Yeah, nice avalanche Olympic slam, and like Dunne is doing the Marty Scurll finger breaker spot, but it's not quite as effective because he wears a top. So
I think he was doing that during the UK tournament too.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably was. But after the match, the Undisputed Era continued the attack on Pete Dunne. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan come and do the run in and end up standing tall versus Undisputed Era, so we could get a hollow moment possibly with the
Ha-ha
we can get a 6-man tag in the future is what I'm trying to say. Kairi Sane took on Shazza McKenzie. That was just basically a squash match put over Kairi Sane. With
really needed that match.
Insane elbow. Lacey Evans comes out and quote apologizes. Kairi is wise to it, doesn't shake her hand, but then Lacey Evans punches her in the face, knocking her out. So we got a little feud going there. Then we had a very emotional interview from Candice LeRae talking about her husband and the injury and getting stretchered out last week. She's very distracted with all of this. Of course, that leads to the match that she had versus the EST. This was Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae. Again, nice story here with her Candice LeRae being distracted by all the stuff going on, and Bianca Belair getting the win here. Nice deadlift press from Bianca Belair in the match, throwing her into the top turnbuckle, and then getting the win just like by throwing her and dropping her on her face, basically.
And she didn't even use that hair whip either, which is nice to see, because I know Joe's not a big fan of it. I'm like, she doesn't always use it in the matches, but when she does, it gets that effect. And yeah, I like that. Candice LeRae wasn't in the right mindset, but I like that she got a big fucking win over Candice LeRae without using that spot.
Right. Because I think that would have gotten Bianca heat, I think, because it is in a situation where they were trying to get her over. She's already kind of, quote, taking advantage of Candice LeRae because of her emotional state. And that was, the story was more about Candice LeRae being upset with what happened than Bianca Belair getting the win. And so I like that she didn't use the hair, but I like her using it from time to time when it's appropriate. So that was a nice touch. The Street Profits versus TM61. We got some skullduggery here. TM61 putting his foot on the ropes, and his team member. It's always funny because his team member holds his foot down on the ropes as if that's some sort of leverage advantage.
Skullduggery.
But that led to them getting the sneaky skullduggery win over the Street Profits. Then it was Patrick Scott versus the Finest. Kona Reeves. Kona Reeves making his big, ugly debut.
I'm not mad at
it. Boy, he was hitting hard, being very aggressive. The crowd hated him. Like, nobody likes you. It was well, actually, they said that to Lacey Evans, I think. But but yeah, people, again, going back to what I was saying earlier with taking people that the audience isn't going to like and pushing them that way. The audience isn't going to like Lacey Evans in that fucking gimmick. They don't like Kona Reeves.
But they're still fresh faces.
Yes, exactly. A little squash match for the Kona Reeves. He wins with the Hawaiian drop. If I could roll my eyes on a podcast, I would be doing like, come on, his version of the Samoan drop, which again, he's a heel. It's supposed to get heat, right? So it works entirely.
All he does is pause and then drop.
Well, it's instead of dropping a guy on his back, he drops him on the front side.
Was it on his front?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
missed that part.
Well, Kona falls to his back, but then the guy on his shoulders lands on his front somehow.
Yeah. Okay.
Either that or the jobber fucked up the bump. Who knows?
Yeah.
But either way, it's the Hawaiian drop. Cassius Ohno wants to make Ciampa feel helpless like Ciampa made Gargano feel helpless, so we're going to get that match next week.
Cool.
Going to get War Raiders versus Heavy Machinery next week. Heavy Machinery's upset with the War Raiders attacking them in their matches.
I don't know who to cheer for.
And I did like we had one of these press conference deals with Dakota Kai.
Lars.
Exactly. Let me see if I can hear nothing. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I love every single one they do of these, though.
Yes. Well, she's out there getting interviewed, and then Vanessa Bourne interrupts and says, "I'm not scared of what's her Ha Clinton."
Ha ha. I'm trying to think of something funny for women. Shayna
Baszler. I'm not afraid of Shayna Baszler. I'll take her on. And Dakota Kai's, well, I'm not afraid of you.
Clinton Clits.
Wait for it. Hang on here. I'll go get it. This. You deserve this one. Here we go.
That is so profane.
Taco.
And rude.
And one more just for good measure.
Oh, man, dude, that's gross.
I got tears in my eyes right up.
So she says, yeah, I'm not afraid I'd take on Shayna Baszler. And Dakota Kai's, well, I'm not afraid of you, Vanessa Bourne. I like Vanessa Bourne interrupts and starts talking, and she says, when Vanessa Bourne, I wouldn't be afraid. I'm like, oh, Vanessa Bourne, that's your name, because
right.
I had no idea. But Dakota Kai's like, I ain't afraid of you, Vanessa Bourne, and the reporter's like, ooh. So I like that the reporters are there. They're interjecting questions. They're reacting to the way the wrestlers are acting in the promo, which is really good. And then even the follow-up question. So Dakota Kai, you going to take on Vanessa Bourne? It's like, yeah, I ain't afraid of Vanessa Bourne. I'll take her out. So yeah, I loved that whole segment. So I like that we're getting something more from Dakota Kai. She's looking a little bit stronger, like I wanted to from last week. So let's build some momentum for Dakota Kai. Let's build her up and have her eventually face. Maybe someday she won't be afraid to face Shayna Baszler. She'll build up that confidence and
Fight the boogie woman.
The Clinton something else. Let's not even go there. Lars Sullivan, he's marking the champions for destruction. He's going to come after some sort of championship, whether it's the North American, the UK, or the NXT championship. He's putting them all on notice. Good for you, Lars Sullivan.
Lars.
And that was pretty much NXT. Good stuff. I enjoyed it.
Fun show.
Big show coming next week. All right, let's get out of here. I got to get over this thing. Got to play this thing. Here we go. All right. It's been a long couple of podcasts. It's late. We got to get the fuck out of here.
Oh, shit.
Follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Make sure you follow this show at BPW Podcast, Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you want to email the show, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast @gmail.com. Join the conversation. Interact with us on social media. Share it with your friends. Tell people about it. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out sltdwrestling.com for fantasy league, predictions leagues as well. Great fan articles. Lots of cool stuff going on over there, as well as links to this and Strong Honor podcasts. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow Joe at BPWP. That's Joe, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Thanks for checking out the show. Bye.
Peace.
garbage. That is a Minnesota accent.
This nonsense makes me want to puke.
He's gonna puke. Holla.